We're a restaurant group across Shropshire, Staffordshire, and now come down into the West Midlands. And we've got 12 venues at the moment of various different brands, and we've been going since 2007, expanding more recently. I've been with the team for 15 years, and I did with a lot of our integrations, our software, on the restaurants that turns to IT.
And most people will know you guys, but for anybody that doesn't know you, could you give us a quick intro to your role?
I'm business development manager at EBS, so I look after the likes of Ben at Paragon and a number of our key clients, also working always at prospects. Some of them are in the room today, so it's nice that you've come here, and make sure that we're listening to what your requirements are, advising on add-ins such as the SOC that we've just been talking about, and the right solutions for both parties.
I'm Richard.
Thank you very much. Richard Bates, sales director and co-owner. I've been with the business over 10 years now. Thinking about the relationship with Paragon goes back at least 8 years, I believe. So we've been on a journey with Paragon from the very start, and obviously based on sort of initial requirements through to what it is now that you have and what we offer.
Okay, well let's look at that initial engagement then with EBS. What sort of caused you to engage with EBS? What was the initial requirement? What did you need? And how has that grown over those 8 years?
IT in the restaurant industry has just transformed. So I think when we were initially speaking to EBS, we were using a computer to print out a sheet for us to write our reservations on. We were printing out order sheets, that type of thing. And there was some reliability on the internet, reliability on phones being answered and bits like that. But for us, our IT was just a load of things hanging out a wall, going left, right, and centre that had kind of been built out of just here's a new thing to plug in. We knew we needed to get better at it. We could sense where things were going. And one of our directors knew someone at EBS, put us in contact with Richard. And then kind of from then, it was a case of, I think, building us up slowly for us as a business to kind of go from making pies of what we were doing and things like that, preparing our food, when our leaders, we weren't into IT, we didn't really understand it. So a lot of it was proof of concept, wasn't it? Kind of, here you go, you need this, there you go, this will work. So it kind of developed along those routes.
And what was the business case for that then? So you mentioned that stuff was hanging out the walls and you felt like you needed to do something. Did you just need to be more efficient? Was it a big disaster until they came in?
Well, when things went wrong, they just went wrong. They just stopped working. That's it. You haven't got a device anymore. So there's a bit of a problem there as sort of our technology, especially things like reservation systems that kind of maximize how many you can get in the restaurant instead of somebody writing down in a diary, table for 2 at 8 o'clock. So the reliance on things like that was becoming greater and greater as we were growing the reliance on technology for ordering. So people at the end of the night actually placing an order electronically as opposed to picking up the phone and reading off a sheet. And then phone calls, we were doing venues and our phone calls were huge. And we kind of had no real concept. It was just people complaining that their phone wasn't being answered. So that was part of the initial brief, wasn't it, to bring us on to VoIP services. And then we got a real sort of grasp of perhaps how we can put in phone queuing systems and things like that and direct to people other ways.
So it wasn't just, I've got this particular problem, I need a solution for this issue. It sounds more strategic.
It's under my skill set.
Okay, so talk to me about working with EBS then as a whole. What was that process like? You mentioned that maybe management weren't necessarily, the most IT-based people. That's not your zone of genius. So what was it that the team were able to do, as in working in a partnership for the benefit of Parogon Group?
Yeah, it felt like a partnership. From my point of view, patience from you guys, I think. Because there's a lot of things that you should be doing this, implementing this next. This is the next step. And for us, it was all very new, wasn't it? I'm sure you guys feel it still. Where I'm like, do we really need that? Is that the right thing to do? It always has been. It's just been our approach has sometimes been a little bit slower. But from that very first instance and over the next sort of 8 years, the elements of technology and how important it is, things don't fail anymore. And I think that's the part of having real secure systems, real secure backups, or really well organized cabinets and things like that, that if something does happen to go wrong, which inevitably is somebody unplugging something, it's easily resolved as well.
EBS team, can you talk a little bit about, from your perspective, the process involved in managing that as a project? Did you do much business analysis, needs analysis? How did you decide what solutions were appropriate?
Yeah, you start.
Okay, so it's been a team effort, hasn't it? So Ben's exactly right. Yeah, from that very first day of coming in, we've got all these different problems and we don't know what to fix first. And I think also you didn't really have visibility of what the true problem was. You had a number of customers complaining in terms of people not answering the phones. We did a site survey. We walked around all the different sites and saw how they were configured. Multiple different suppliers for different sites supplying the same technologies. So again, for you guys to be able to report a problem, who do we actually contact? So again, it was kind of getting a full picture of the 4 sites that you had, and you were imminently about to have a 5th site added. And as you said, we used that as a sort of a test bed. We said, right, this new site, let's do it our way. Let's put in a cabinet, let's put in the correct network switching, let's put in the correct security and the Wi-Fi and everything. Unfortunately, it worked, and it worked very well, and there was a lot of stability there. And I think that sort of brought a bit of trust in what we were saying. And then it was about the journey of kind of going and revisiting those other sites and kind of unpicking those a little bit. And when we looked at the phone system, I mean, I don't know if you know about your own kind of call stats and number of calls that are coming into the business. Your sort of front of house managers were expected to answer, well, when a site was opening, sort of 100 to 120 calls a day, as well as meeting people on the front door, taking them to the tables, doing the reservations and all of that side, which is pretty much a full-time job on its own. So again, it was getting that visibility. You thought your busy days were certain days of the week, but actually they weren't. And it was kind of, how do we keep that local small pub, which some of them are in villages and that kind of thing, without becoming a big organization. So we had a local presence, but we have the flexibility to go out to a much larger phone system with centralized call answering and all of that side of things. And it kind of just snowballed from there, really. It's probably where you started to come involved, isn't it?
Yeah. Again, I think probably continuing that, I think, and it's very easy to forget where you were, where you are now. And, you're very active in terms of taking on new sites. I think from an IT perspective, that's become very, very smooth. Is that fair to say? Right, we now know as a business, this is what your requirements are from a connectivity point of view, from a Wi-Fi perspective. They got good Wi-Fi. From a PC solution perspective, from a security perspective, those key elements, we know timescales, what they're going to be, and it's very much, there's the process. That's perfect. Bit of refinement, and there we go. And it's actually a very, very turnkey solution from that point of view.
And is that an ongoing process? Are you always reevaluating what's next or looking at new technologies in which they can take advantage of?
Oh yeah, I'll answer this one. I will continue to be telling Ben what they should be doing, and then Ben tells me that's not going to happen. And then generally speaking, it evolves to, okay, that's what is our biggest risk. That's what is important to us. Everyone has a budget, and we have to be and work together as a partnership to say what's important. So that absolutely, it's continuous.
I want to ask Ben then. So from your perspective, where you've got a partner like EBS making some suggestions, and that's new information because it's new technology or whatever, do you find that you need some convincing to take that on board?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, that's the easy answer. Yeah, we need convincing. I think it's just I mean, more and more over the journey, particularly, we've needed convincing. Now, software integrations and everything like that is just part of how we work. Like everything links with each other. Reservation systems links with how we speak to our customers, links with feedback. Like our POS sales link into certain bits for reporting and all that type of thing. So now it's just it's transformed. We're just a different business to what we were 8 years ago. So the reliance on IT, as it were, now and its infrastructure is so much greater. And then obviously listening with bits like cybersecurity threats and things like that, that's kind of been a big project over the past year. And will actually continue to be, because we can't just implement the safest measures straight away tomorrow. It is one that we're going to have to build out over the next sort of 12 months. And we've kind of put a plan together for that, which is important. But yeah, we listen to each other on that.
Just thinking about cybersecurity then, because I think we're going to hear this quite a lot today. So from a hospitality perspective, what are the big issues around security?
I suppose for us, customer data. So there is a lot that we hold on our guests, which we use to be able to speak to them and improve that experience, but we do have an understanding of our guests. We have bits like we won't be able to operate without POS. So if someone was to get into our EBS, which fortunately is on a different network, but that would kind of stop us operating. Same with taking reservations, the reservation system that maximizes our bookings. All of a sudden, if we go from, say, Father's Day at the Wayfarer, 600 covers, and then we haven't got a system that maximizes it, and we're only doing 200 covers because we're doing it on Excel, we would be massively sort of down in revenue. And then when we talk about a staggering number of like 10% of your turnover, we're talking quite a lot. For us, that would be significant, for any business. So we've got an eye on insurance policies and things like that, but it's about making sure we're in communication with Simon and Richard.
And so can you maybe talk about what security solutions you've put into Parogon on that basis?
I should demure it now. Now I think without going too technical and too specific, if I again go back to the early days where there was probably a little box in the corner that wasn't a managed box and just it was fingers crossed it would work, it wasn't firmware updated, etc. Every site goes in there. I'm going to reference our partners in the room with the Sonic Wall firewall, which is always up to date, always got software subscriptions on there. We make sure it's got the latest firmware patches on there. That's the starting point through to fully managed switches, which first from a security perspective, but also from a reliability perspective. We've also got EBS Cloud in there. So it was Ben and FD Simon who came to us, who wanted a piece of software. We didn't know where to put it. So we brought them into the EBS Cloud and hosted that, which we probably need to talk about EBS Cloud, not now and separately, but obviously that's a fully secure managed solution. Then to the end user stuff you've got a managed antivirus product. We've got things like patch management in place. There's lots of other things, backup solutions, etc. So Ben listens to our advice. He doesn't always give us a thumbs up straight away. He has to be, as everyone should be, reflective of what's the risk to me if we don't, and why do I need it, and then it's up to them to balance that risk and expense, because it all costs money.
Do you have more control in EBS Cloud? It's your infrastructure. That's a better solution, presumably, for a customer of yours that implements that.
Yeah, it gives you that flexibility. So it's our own infrastructure, our own hardware based in a Birmingham-based data center. So that data center comes with lots of security, physical and external over the internet, utilizing Sonic Wall as well. But you mentioned customer data. It's important to keep that data within the UK. It's important you've got lots of different reporting tools that are interacting with that data, interacting with the EPOS systems. I know you guys do lots and lots of reporting. So, to say you were a business that I guess probably 8 years ago that didn't use IT, we just make food. You would invest in the best ovens, the best knives, the best kind of chefs to do that kind of preparation. But it's all the other side of it now that is what can actually make the business better. And you guys have pushed us on that and have driven us in terms of that reporting, which is fantastic. But it's obviously making sure we've got that access to that data. So yeah, all the sites are, linked up and connected and on, very, very good internet connections on the leased lines with Zen. And again, feeding back into that data center as well to make sure we've got the connectivity.
Fantastic. And final question to you, just in terms of the future of the Parogon Group, where do you see that? What are the plans? What's the growth looking like?
Well, we are expecting to grow. That is our plans. The market at the moment is quite tough. I think the national insurance thresholds and that type of thing, they've had a big impact on us. And so we were at the point where we were like, well, we are at the point where we're ready to grow. It's just a question of when's the right time. So at the moment, we're out finding the right sites. So come hopefully the beginning of next year, we can actually press a button and move forward. We hope to be at like 50 venues. We are not intending to be sort of slow. We have ambition to be the best. We always have. And we want to do it, excuse me, like keeping in mind like sustainability and doing things correctly. So we got B Corp status last year. We want to maintain that. We want to maintain being part of our community. That's a big thing for us. So yeah, lots of growth, but in the right way as well.
And if people here today wanted to come and visit one of your venues, what is the best one to visit? Which is your favourite?
My favourite's the one that I used to be general manager of. That one's easy. That's the Stroll 2X and the original. But Willow in the Green, just down the road, just opened earlier this year. That is a concept that we do want to roll out. So we see that as a brand that we can open in lots of different places.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Ben. Thanks, Simon. Thank you, Richard.